my name is Samar. I also go by Sam or First Time Panner. Any of those you want to call me, you can. This will be a tag video, and this is the eyeshadow palette tag. I can never remember, and I also never look it up beforehand. I can never remember who did this, so that information will be in the description box. But I just didn't have a video to film today, but I always try to make sure I film on my free days because that's a missed opportunity if not. And I realized I haven't done the eyeshadow palette tag in a long time. I know it was the first video I ever posted on my Instagram back in 2022 when I first started panning. I might have done it since then, but if I have, it's been a very long time, at least a few years. So I'm very excited to do this. And this is I think there are 2 different years of this, and this is both of the years combined. So there are quite a few prompts, but I'm just gonna get started. And I also did not write the prompts down anywhere but my phone. So and I'm filming with my phone. So I'm going to try to remember what all of these prompts are based on the palette that I chose for it. We'll see. Editing me will correct myself if I get it wrong, but hopefully I don't. The first prompt is all-time favorite, and of course that had to be my Dose of Color She's a 10 palette. This won my eyeshadow palette tournament, so I think it will always be the answer for this prompt until maybe something dethrones it, if that's even possible. But yeah, I just absolutely love this eyeshadow palette. I love Dose of Color's eyeshadow quality. It's my favorite formula, and this is their best quality they've ever put out, in my opinion. It is powdery, so if you do not like powdery eyeshadows, or you do your eyeshadow last, that could be a downside for you maybe, but I do my eyeshadow first, specifically because I like to go a little bit crazy with my eyeshadow, lots of sparkles, everything. So for me, this palette has no downsides, and I just love it so much. The quality, the shades, there are lots of neutrals, and you get warm and cool, and then you have a few pops of color, and then the best matte black I've ever used before. And this red velvet shade is so true to color and opaque on the very first dip into the pan. What you see is what you get on your eyes. I just think this palette is so special and so amazing. I hope I never have to be without this palette, but yeah, this is an all-time favorite. Next prompt is a new favorite, and that is my Cosmic Beauty or Cosmic Brushes Undergrowth palette. Now I know that I said, or maybe you haven't seen that video yet, but I recently used the Smolder palette from Cosmic Beauty or Cosmic Brushes. I'm just gonna say Cosmic Beauty to make things easier. I recently used the Smolder palette, No Pan Left Behind, and that one, the mattes just weren't as impressive. I think the mattes from Cosmic Beauty aren't, definitely not the best mattes I've ever used. These were not quite as bad as the Smolder palette, and also the shimmers and the special shades in here. Let me actually open it to show you. So gigantic. This is what it looks like. The special shades in here are just so amazing, in my opinion. I think maybe other than Danessa Myricks, this has the best special shade formula available on the market from any brand, and this is also way cheaper than Danessa Myricks. So yeah, I really love all the special shades in here. These are also my tones. I love a grungy green. I love all greens. I love a grungy green, and these warm earthy tones. I just think it's so amazing and beautiful, and I love it. Next is Keep for the Memories, and I do love this palette. I'm not only keeping it for the memories, I would still use it and everything, but I always talk about how this eyeshadow palette has so many good memories tied to it. I was just using this a lot at a time in my life where maybe it was not a very good situation for me. I feel my life is always there's always something going on with me, but I was spending a lot of time with my friends, and it was my first like few years as like an adult outside of college, so I was like, I had more free time and I was able to do things like independently, and yeah, just like being with my friends a lot. So this does have really, really good memories tied to it, and I will always cherish it for that. Again, I still love using it as a palette, but whenever I see this, I just kind of really think about that time in my life, and it just makes me smile. Next is underrated. I think you probably all can guess it had to be a Sephora palette. I always talk about how Sephora collection is so underrated with a lot of their products, but especially their eyeshadows. They've had so many different formulas, and I've liked them all except for I've never tried any of their holiday palettes. I probably won't, because some of the holiday stuff of theirs, just like with most brands, is kind of like gimmicky and not as high in quality. But other than that, every eyeshadow palette I've ever tried from them, I have really, really liked. And this one specifically is one of their Mega Mix palettes. This is what it looks like. I have so many palettes from Sephora collection, but this one is, I think, like from this line is the only line that's still available at Sephora at the moment, I think. So I just wanted to show this one. Again, these are just my tones. How many times can I say that? But yeah, I really like Sephora, and I think they're very underrated, especially for how inexpensive the brand is relatively. The prompt, not a favorite, but you can't get rid of. It had to be the NYX Ultimate Edit. I think this is like the warm neutrals. Yeah, this is just the 6-pan warm neutrals. I do like this palette. I even hit pan in the cream shade. And oh, you can definitely see my mess on my desk. I do like this palette. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with the quality. I think because this one, my Milani one, and then I have a few e.l.f. palettes left, are the only drugstore palettes left in my collection. I think I'm just kind of like, a few years ago, I decided I'm no longer into drugstore eyeshadow personally. I just think that what I am more into is more like punchy, bold stuff, which often is not what you can find at the drugstore. So I just don't buy drugstore eyeshadow pretty much at all anymore. I do really like this palette just like as it is. It's a fine palette. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, which is why I haven't gotten rid of it. But it's not a favorite, mostly for, well, first of all, I think there isn't a neutral brown like mid-tone transition shade in here, which is one downside, but also the metallics in here are barely metallic at all, especially for like the kind of eyeshadow that I wear on a daily basis. So I do really like this palette, but it's just not a favorite. But I'm not gonna get rid of it until it goes bad. Favorite collab, of course, is my ColourPop and Avatar The Last Airbender palette. I love this show. And also the art on this palette. This is the sleeve, and then this is the cover of the palette. It is so beautiful. And then this is the art inside of the palette, the imprints on the shadows for the different elements. Everything about this, like the lettering, is just so pretty and such a nice palette. I like mostly, I would say 90% bought this for the collab and like the artistry of the palette itself. I do still like some of the shades in here, and I would definitely use them. If I ever like depotted this palette, I would keep a few of the shades in here, but I'm definitely never getting rid of the actual like palette. So that is why this is my favorite collab. I only have one other collab palette also, so it definitely was not a difficult prompt. The next prompt is last year's favorite. Other than my Pan That palettes, I was like barely using my eyeshadow collection. So this one was a bit difficult for me, but then I just remembered how much I fell in love with the ABH Rose Metals palette, and I was like, oh, I kind of have to say this palette because I just love it. I did this, or like I used this for one of my 2 looks 1 palette videos, and then I just like fell in love with it. I just love everything about this eyeshadow palette. I think it's so beautiful, such amazing quality, especially for ABH, which, not saying they have bad quality, but I don't usually expect like Pat McGrath level from ABH, and this was just like amazing. I don't even think this is available anymore. I think this is discontinued. I have no idea why brands always do that. They discontinue their best products. But yeah, this was my 2025 favorite. A palette that I wasn't expecting to love is the Juvia's The Berries palette. And I don't buy palettes thinking I'm not going to enjoy them. But I honestly I bought this palette when it was maybe like the first year or two when I was getting into makeup. I did not have many eyeshadow palettes, and Juvia's Place was like a good, easily accessible and affordable brand. And I think I was just like, I saw this palette and I was like, oh, I don't really have any tones like that in my collection, so I bought it. I honestly don't know what my expectations were when buying this, but I've learned to really love this. I always do this where I say like, I don't really wear these colors, but every time I say that, I feel like I am wearing these colors. But I swear I don't often wear these colors unless I'm panning something with it in the palette, which that is why I'm wearing these bright pink colors today. But yeah, I often don't wear pink. However, when I do, it is usually something like fun and punchy and like fuchsia berry, like all the colors in this palette. This is also a really good deep matte purple, which I noticed like a lot of brands don't have. Yeah, and then I always like think to wear this around my birthday. So yeah, this is like, I ended up really loving this and kind of just like thinking of this as a special palette, even though I don't think I was going into like buying this palette with that intention, but you know, happy accident. Next is Sparks Joy, and of course it's the Marvelous Mauves palette. This is in addition to my Fairy Tale Forest from Lorac. This is the other palette that I was just like very into mauve tones. Like I was using a lot of the purple mauves in that palette. And then, I mean, this palette is just all purple. I was very into mauves in, I think it was like 2023. Yeah, I got a lot of use out of this one, and I just like really love Dose of Colors, like I keep saying. And then also this palette now reminds me of Alyssa, who's one of my favorite people on here. So yeah, every time I see this palette, I just think of her, and I think of my like back home friends, or like I'm back where I live now, so they're not my back home friends, they're just like my non-YouTube friends. And then yeah, this makes me happy and I love to use it. Next is Newest, and my newest eyeshadow palette is the Danessa Myricks Lightwork Volume 5. It says I Am palette, so I guess that was the theme of that year. I made a purchase from the Danessa Myricks website when I was buying the like eyeshadow stick duos. And then I noticed that like this was not even on my radar, but I noticed that this palette was available, and this was the one Danessa Myricks palette that I kind of like always thought or like felt like I missed out on. So again, it's the Lightwork 5, and this is what it looks like. I think this is really pretty. I don't think a lot of these are like duochrome, like multi-chrome special shades, but I think it has a really good range of shades, and of course they're like the nice punchy, like beautiful high quality shadows that Danessa Myricks is known to have. So yeah, I made sure to buy this, and this is my newest palette. I haven't used any of the shades yet, but I'm very excited to. The final prompt is the first eyeshadow palette that I used in 2026, and that would be my ABH Norvina. You've seen this a million times, not only on my channel, but just in general. Everyone who owns this has panned it, I feel like. And this might be a spoiler because I don't know if you've seen what it looks like yet. I haven't updated it. Like for my first update for this project, this is like this was one of my palettes for my Pan That palette last year and this year, so I am really trying to get through it. But yeah, this was the first palette I used in 2026 because, you know, I'm trying to pan it. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but I really do love this palette, or I wouldn't be panning it 2 years in a row. I just think it's a really good like workhorse palette that also has a few fun pops of color, which is kind of like my favorite genre of palette, it seems like. And I have noticed that a few shades in here are declining in quality, so I'm very sad about that. But yeah, I just want to get as much use on it as possible. This is starting to sound like an update. With that being said, that is all I have for this eyeshadow palette tag. I think we should bring it back. I haven't seen anyone do it in a while. So yeah, I'm not gonna actually tag anyone, but if you're interested in doing this, I just noticed how like much darker my face is from my chest. Oh well. But if you have enough palettes in your collection to do this tag, I did like 10 times over. I think you should do it. So yeah, I will just see you in my next video, and until then, I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.